Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tangle Time Arts. My name is Nana Heron, and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. And here it is, finally. We're here to put our finishing touches on our Fragment of Your Imagination Challenge project. So throughout January, we worked our way through um, we did a fragment a day, but we did ours in a mosaic, and we're going to end up with two. And this is the first one. So it's tiles 1 through 4. So that's days 1 through 16, I believe. And I have taped mine together with washi tape on the back. So I have my finished tiles here, and I tried to press the tape on really firmly. So we'll see how that goes. Other tools that I have for finishing today include a ruler, and then I have our basic black pen, number 2 pencil, and tortillon. But I also have a graphic 1 in black, and I do have a Micron 05 in red because we might want to add a touch of red. And then I have some colored pencils, and these are just Crayola. I have blue, violet, and I think this is just the regular yellow, and then a golden yellow. You can choose whatever colors you'd like if you're adding color. And I'm going with like a darker yellow and a lighter yellow. And then I have the blue and the violet. They kind of go together, but one's a little lighter and one's a little darker. You don't have to use colored pencil. You can use markers. You can use watercolors. You can use watercolor pencils. You could probably even use like Posca paint markers, whatever you like using to add color, you could probably use. Even crayon, if you like crayon. Crayon's a good option. All right, so I think we will start with our ruler and put some measurements on our tiles, and then we're going to add a little bit here and there, including a border, because we do have a lot of white space in these areas. And keep in mind, this is just what I'm going to do today is just one way that you could finish this. You could choose different borders. You could decide to add a tangle in here in the corner. There's just so many things you could do. So I would suggest, if you haven't already done so, I would definitely recommend making a photocopy of this. And I did that. I just ran off photocopies so that I could play around with it before actually putting the finishing touches on my tile. And I think I had this on the darkest setting because I wanted to show some of the shading as well. So if you haven't already done that, you still have time. You could go make some copies and play around with your borders and other tangles before putting your finishing touches on your actual tiles, on your actual piece. All right, so I'm going to put all that to the side, and I am going to take my pencil, and we're just going to mark around the edges because we're going to need that later. But it's just easier to mark it from the beginning. So I am going to, I think the first thing that I'm going to do actually is put a little, just a little line in each corner And I'm going to also do that on each tile, just so that we know where we're aiming for with our ruler. And you want that, so you've got a curve here. You want that right on that half mark, that halfway point. All right. So now we're going to take our ruler, and it's going to be a little tricky for me because I don't usually work with the size. Um, so my camera's in a different position and I'll have to move things around a little bit better. So I'll try my best. So the tiles are roughly 3.5 inches, and we are going to want to mark the halfway point, which is 1 3/4. So you want to put a little mark there. I'm going to adjust that. I'm sorry for the glare. There's not much I can do about it. Um, I'll have to maybe research some lights. So we have our halfway mark, and then we want the halfway between that, which is going to be 7/8. And then over here, I believe that's 2 5/8. And we're going to do that for each section that we have. And it's a little hard to move it with the tape on it, but I'll be very careful. So 1.5, and then 7/8, and 2, and 1 2 3 4, yeah, 5/8. Oh, 1 3/4 is here. Do I have a little eraser? Let me see. Sometimes I get to talking and I'm not paying attention. Let me take that one off. All right, now we're good to go. I'm gonna rotate. And then I've got 1 3/4, 7/8, 2 5/8. One and 3/4, 7/8, 2 5/8. 1 3/4, 7/8, 2 5/8. And 1 3/4, 7/8, 2 5/8. I think we have just one more side. 1 3/4, 5/8. I'm sorry, 7/8, 2 5/8. And 1 3/4, 7/8, 2 5/8. Okay. So I'm just kind of looking to make sure everything looks like where it's supposed to be. And it all looks pretty even. Just want to make sure that they're all where they should be. So we basically divided it up into 1 2 3 4 sections for each side of each tile. 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. So it's all pretty even. All right. That's probably the most difficult thing we'll do is the measuring. So take your time with that. Once we have that, we can start having fun. So now you'll need your pen, and I have the graphic one for filling in because I'm going to need it. So what I've decided to do um, with my piece, and you might not decide to do this. It's up to you. But I am actually going to aura in this area around my seed fragments. And you want to match it up when you go over to a new section. So I'm just slowly putting an aura around the seed shapes. And rotate. I just feel like there's a lot of space in these areas, and I just want to add something to it. Now you could, in the areas that are left over, you could keep going with more auras. That would look pretty cool too. But I'm actually going to ink these areas in. So I'm going all the way around from section to section. You'll have to rotate quite a lot because it's different working on this much larger piece. It takes a little bit of getting used to. Okay, so I put an aura around all of the seed shapes. And another area that I am choosing to aura, since we were doing the auras, is in this. Do you see this larger square here? Not the little squares, but when we put this together, we have a large square in here. So I'm going to aura that as well before I forget. And I'm just going to freehand it, but if you'd like to use a ruler, you can go ahead. Um, But since this was done by freehand, I'm just kind of matching it along in here. But if you would like to use a ruler, go ahead. I'm just slowly putting in my aura. And I like that it has a little bit of a wobble here and there. All right, I made it all the way around. So we're back to where we started. And now I'm going to take my graphic one and I am going to fill in those areas around my seed shapes. Now, if you're continuing with auras, you can go ahead. That's going to go much quicker. But when I was practicing, I decided that I did like the drama of um, having it black. But even with the wider pen, it does take some time. So feel free to, once you get the hang of it, you can kind of fast forward through it. Another thing that you could do instead of filling it in solidly or doing more auras, you could just do lines close together. And that would look really cool as well. But you can already see, just comparing this to this, how much more drama this brings to this one. And if you don't like that it's that I that that much black, you could at this point pick a colored pencil and or a gel pen or marker, whatever you're using, and you could decide to add color there. This is where you get to decide what you would like to do, because I think even though we were tangling along together on this project, this is where your creativity can shine through and you can finish this however you like. And I would guess that everyone's would look a little bit different, but they're all going to look beautiful. And as I go along, I'm making sure these kind of match up and I can adjust for them at this point with my pen if I need to. So yeah, you might, instead of black, you might use, let's say a gold gel pen or silver or maybe, maybe pink. Or you could use markers. Or maybe you want to fit in some other tangle because these are triangle shapes. So you could do any of the triangle ones. All right, so at this point, let's take a look. We have half of it inked in and the other half not inked in. So if you're following along but not yet embellishing your piece, you can kind of think to yourself, um, which do you like better? Do you like this look or do you like this look? Would you rather add some tangles into these little triangle parts or more auras or just leave them white? Or do you like the drama of inking it in? So it's kind of cool, just taking a break and taking a look and thinking about things like that. Or at least I think so. I like to do that. All right, I'm going to keep going because I already started. So you have a lot to think about. And there's no right or wrong. If this isn't for you, you can go ahead and definitely try something different. Smooth this out a little bit. Sometimes these pens, the tip gets a little fuzzy and it can make things a little difficult. This part's actually very calming and therapeutic because you don't have to really think about it, just filling it in, unlike the measuring where you really do have to focus. If you did something different for this area, I would love to hear what you did. Because I'm always looking for new ideas too. And we're working on our last tile here. All right, we've got all of them, and now with all of that inked in, it almost looks like a completely different project, actually. So you can decide, taking a look at that, if that's for you, if that's something that you would like to do. But I just felt like it needed something dramatic in there, and so that was something that I wanted to do. All right, so I'm just taking a look at my notes because we have a lot to do. And now we're going to look at putting a border around here. And you might think to yourself, like, well, maybe I don't need a border. Like, I don't want to add a border, and you don't have to. Um, again, that's up to you. You don't have to add one at all. So, that's the beauty of like watching a video like this. You can decide for yourself if this is something that you would like to do or it doesn't work for you. You can try something else. So at this point, I'm going to show you what I did with one of my photocopies. So I wasn't sure which border I wanted to do. There's so many awesome borders, and we already have a lot going on in here. So it's got to be something that I like and that's going to go with all of this. So I went to my photocopy and I put in some practice borders. So I think I started with just a string of they kind of look like pearls, but they're orbs, and as an enhancer, they're perfs. So it's just like a string of pearls though. So I tried that and I did an aura around those. And then the next one that I did was the crescent moon. So I put an aura around our original. These are kind of like hearts. So I put an aura around that, and then I went in with crescent moon and a final aura around all of that. That's okay. Um, I don't know. It's okay though. With this one, I did a thin aura and then a wider aura and another thin one. And in this wide area, I just put some stripes. I kind of like that. It's simple. Um, and it doesn't take away too much from our other tangles. But I think the one that I actually am the most fond of is probably the Dragonair. And so I'm going to go with this one. I just like that because we have this like heart shape in here and Valentine's Day is coming up. I just like kind of this roughly look of the Dragonair. So I'm going to go with that. And I added a little heart there and I did an aura outside of that. So that's what I'm going to go with. But you can pick one of these other ones, or you can choose a border of your liking. So there's no right or wrong here. It's just all about personal preference. Okay, I'm going to set this aside and pick up a pen, a black pen. So you can start anywhere on your project. There's no up or down really. I'm just going to start with this one, I guess. And with Dragonair, it's it starts with just a curve that comes, it's almost like a little ball on the end, but it's kind of like fescue. All right. And maybe I could zoom in a little bit for this part. And then maybe about, I don't know, a quarter of an inch, a little more than quarter of an inch. I did another one and another one. I try to evenly space them as much as I can. How wide are they? Probably the width of my pen. Again, maybe like a quarter inch. I'm leaving a little space here because I'm still going to aura around that. And this last one kind of touches that very edge there. And then I'm going to mirror that going the other way. Then I'm just going to start on this end here. And there's a lot of rotating. So I'm going to start on this end, and we have our little ball on the end. I kind of follow that around and do this S shape. I come out and back in to the next one. So it's definitely got this lovely S shape in there. So at first you're going in and then you come out and over and around. And it forms this nice ruffle here. Finished that side. And go over to the other side now. And then this is kind of the reverse. But again, you're going in and then out, over and around. So I go around my little ball there, go down inward, come out and around. Like that. And then I'm going to put a little tiny little heart in there. All right. So I'm going to do that again. And if you're not using Dragonair, you can just pause it and fill in whatever border you're using and then forward to the point where we aura around our border. All right, the next one. So once we have our little, they definitely look like little fescue to me. Um, and we're just connecting them with the S shapes. And I'm going to put a little heart in there. And I'll zoom out a little bit now so you can kind of see the whole picture now. So we have so I have half of it done. Um, and it just has this really kind of cool look to it that I like. It's one of my favorites. And Dragonair is by, I should mention, it's by Norma Burnell, CZT. So thank you, Norma, for this one, because I use Dragonair quite a lot. It's always been one of my favorites, and it still is. So it has that longevity with me. There are some tangles that I just always gravitate to. And the more that you tangle, you'll find that you have your favorites. Of course, I love learning new tangles as well, but I definitely have favorites. All right, we can just start on this side this time. And I really just have one last one to do. And you can kind of take a look and see how it looks so far. It's really cute. It's pretty. That light would make it better. Maybe that helps a little bit. And our last little heart in there. And now we get to aura around the border, around the entire border. So just take your time with that, and just start really anywhere that you'd like to, and do an aura all the way around. Or not. I mean, there's no requirement, but I just feel it looks a little more polished with an aura around it. Don't forget to rotate because that's very helpful. And don't forget to breathe because sometimes I focus so much and I actually feel like I forget to breathe because I'm like so into it. All right, so we did our border and we did our aura around the border. And then now we're going to go back and use those little pencil lines that we drew before. And this is going to require a lot of focus. So again, I'm just looking around to make sure I have 4 parts for each one and that they're all evenly spaced, because now is the time to make adjustments. And that's also why we used pencil. All right, so we're going to need our ruler. Now, it's best to have a cork backed ruler when you do something like this, but I have misplaced mine. So I'm going to go ahead and use a regular ruler. Just be careful when you lift it up that it doesn't smear. Okay, so you want to line it up with one of your points. to one of the little pencil marks on the end. And I'm just working tile by tile. I'm not going all the way across because that gets really, really difficult. So pick any tile to work on, and we're just going to go tile by tile and just, I like to line up the center line first. And before I do that, I just want to mention that you do have the option of putting an aura around your circle shapes, your circle fragments. I'm not going to do that, but you can if you would like to. All right, so I'm gonna draw in my line, lifting the pen up when I get to something that's not an empty space, going all the way up, okay? If you need to wipe off your ruler, please do so. And I'm gonna go over here to the mark that was halfway between. And this does take focus. And now I'm going to go to this one on the bottom, I think. And then I'm going to go to this one, which is in between. Just want to make sure that looks right. I'm going to remeasure that one. Yes, measurement's correct. Sometimes it just looks a little off, but it's not. All right, so we have this half done. I'm working on this side and I'm looking at that point that's halfway between. If you like to go like from the first point all the way over, you can do that. My preference is just to work with the halves so that I can make adjustments if I need to. And I did forget this little area here, so I'm going to go back in and pick that up. It's just this tiny little area. All right, taking a look, and that first one is done. So what we're doing is actually we're putting in like rays coming out, like if this were the sun and we've got rays coming out. All right, moving on to my neighboring tile there, my connected one, and the same thing. And it's just a lot of focus with this. So take your time. So this part and the measuring part are the most difficult aspects to this. And I'm gonna again work with the middle one. All right, take a look and make sure I have everything in there. So I'm filling my space up here with these rays coming out. Let's go to the next one. What's cool about the middle one is you're going to also hit this corner in each of them. So you've got that extra checkpoint to make sure you're on track. And you could freehand it if you wanted to. I did on some of my practice ones, and it wasn't too bad. Oops, I hit my camera. Just have one more. All right, we did it. And that's it for the ruler. So we have all of our like rays finished. So that was, besides the measuring, that was the most difficult part. Once you have your lines in, now it's definitely the fun part. So I got our rays in and we're going to do some shading. If you need to take a break, please pause this and take a break because this is definitely a longer video. All right, so we have a lot of shading in here already, and I like what we have. So I don't really see anything that we need to change up a lot. I am going to add a little shading to these corners here, just a little, not a lot. And I'm going to add a little shading along this aura line. Like that. And then it's the Dragonair that I really need to do a lot of shading with. So some of the other borders don't really have that much shading, but Dragonair does. So I'm actually adding some shading along here. It doesn't have to be dark, it's just a little bit of pressure. To check the back for a second because I've got some of the tape coming up. Seems to peel up a little bit quite easily. All right, so once I have that little bit all along our original string, then I can add some shading. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So I can add it, I like to add it right along those, the inside of the fescue shapes. So that's where I like to put it. And it's just one way to shade Dragonair. Again, there's no right or wrong. It's just what I like to do. All right, we made it all the way around. And then you could add a little shading on the outside if you like. It's not a requirement, but I'm just going to add a little bit um, around it, especially if you're not adding color. This is a good step. And this looks fine just in black and white, actually. Color's definitely not a requirement. But I like to add color to this project, especially because once we finish the second one, the second mosaic, you'll be able to mix and match the tiles and they will have different colors. Okay, made it all the way around. You could, if you wanted to, add some shading around your round your circle fragments. All right. Now we'll take our tortilla and we'll just blend that out. Just like that. All right. And if you added graphite around your circle fragments, go ahead and blend that out. I'm gonna jump on over here to the Dragonair. All right. Once we've made it around, then we're going to do these parts. Just add some depth. Just blending along that inner curve. that's it. I think we went all the way around. And then we're going to go around the outside as well. Just pretty quickly. All right, I think we made it all the way around. Just gonna make sure. Sometimes it's hard to tell. There we go. Now we're definitely all the way around. All right. Oop. So we have something that looks like this, and we've got our shading. This would be a good time if you wanted to add some shading anywhere, you could go back in and do that. Or you could do it after we add color. So for those of you who are not adding color, you have the option now with your rays, you could add graphite if you wanted to, like every other one. So you could just take your pencil and add graphite to it, or you could put tangles in here. I think I did, yeah. So on one of my practice sheets, so I do a practice with different colors and things like that. Um, so I tried maybe putting some orbs in every other ray, or I kind of like adding like a wavy line and then putting lines in it like that. And I can zoom in on that. So yeah, like a wavy line, and then just adding lines to it, or the orbs. It's up to you, or you don't need anything except just shading. So, or something totally different. But for me, I am going to add a little bit of color. Not a lot. I'm keeping it simple because I really want the focus to be on the work that we did with with all the fragments and the new tangles that we learned. So that's my focus. So I am working with a limited color palette, and I'm going to start with my yellows. And I'm just going to pick a tile to start with. And I'm going to pick a ray to color. And I've got my golden yellow here. You might have different colors, you might have markers. So I am just coming in with my golden yellow, kind of blocking one of those areas out. And then I'm going to go across here and pick up that same ray and add the yellow to it. I'm going to come back and add more color to it, but I'm going to go through and skip one and then add yellow to the next one. And again, I'm following it all the way out. So that's kind of my focus, is remembering to skip one and then to follow that ray all the way out. Coming back in, and I'm skipping one. It's pretty tiny down here, but then following it out. All right, once I've done that, I'm just going to go back in and add some pressure. And now that I've already blacked in all the areas that I'm coloring in, I can just go back in with confidence and add some pressure. Now I've chosen to go all the way out to the edge. You might be wondering why I didn't do another border here. And that's just my preference. Again, if you're watching this before filling yours in, you could have added a border along there, but I just really want to take it like off the tile, like the brightness and the boldness of it. I just want it to go out into the world. So once I have my first color, which is the darker yellow, the golden yellow down, I'm going to come back in with my lighter shade, the yellow, and go over the top of that. And it just really adds, it just makes it much more saturated. It just, adding a second color on top really takes your coloring to a whole new level. So if you like coloring and coloring books, that's something you can try is layering colors on top of each other. All right, so I think I'm just gonna go through and do all of the yellow first and then come in with my second color. Okay. Um, so I've got my golden yellow again. So I'm gonna block out my areas. Back in and skip. Follow it all the way out. Skip one. And follow that all the way out. Skip one. Now come back in and add some pressure. Might have to sharpen that. And then switch that out for my lighter shade. And sometimes I am using some circular motions just to make sure that the whole surface area is covered. And I'm using quite a bit of pressure, actually. All right, so we have half of that colored it. I need to find a pencil sharpener here. Adding a lot of pressure definitely uses up the pencil lead quite quickly. All right, same thing. If you're using colored pencil and you accidentally start coloring, let's say you started coloring in this one, um, erasers don't work that well with colored pencil. What really works pretty well is Scotch tape. If you press the sticky part on there, not too hard, but press and lift, it's gonna pick up a lot of the color. So it's just one of the things that I've learned along the way, the hard way, I guess. Um, but yeah, tape works pretty well to lift color off of the page. All right, going back in with more pressure. Sometimes it's kind of hard to get out to these edges. Swap that out for my lighter shade. And then it's just this last tile. And we'll be adding our other color and we'll be done. So that's one of the reasons that I kind of add the color lightly. I go in with a light color first so that if I need to, it's easier to lift off. Excuse me. All right, coming back in with my lighter shade of yellow. All right, that's what it looks like with the yellow. Um, and you might not want to add a second color. I'm gonna take a quick photo. It looks really cute. But I actually would like to add a second color. So I have chosen to go with I've got blue and violet. But I'm gonna go in with the blue first and then go over that with the violet. So you can pick any tile to start with, and it's the same concept. So if you like that, you can leave it like that. It's really cute, actually. I like it. But I'm going to go in with a second color, and that's going in with the blue. And this is a little easier because we had already filled in our yellow. So at this point, we can just totally relax and fill in the remaining spaces with the blue. Um, And you can do that with confidence because we had concentrated and gotten every other ray filled in with the yellow. So it's going to look something like that. Now I'm going to go in with a little pressure. And even though I'm using a blue and violet combination, you could choose, if you are using blue, you could go with like a sky blue on top if you'd prefer something like that. All right, I'm going to swap my blue out for the violet. And again, when you add that second color on top, it becomes much more saturated, um, and has a different look to it. So it looks like that. And then we just go through and finish the other ones. So you can kind of see the difference between the two colors and the one color. So I'm going to go back in and add some pressure to these and then switch to the violet. And you might decide that you want to color in in this area, and that's totally fine. I I did that last year, so I'm just taking a different approach this year. If I remember, I used watercolor pencil and I added color to the tangles, actually. Okay, I have to sharpen this one too. So how are you doing with your coloring? If you used markers, that's going to go much faster. And what colors did you choose? Did anyone go with like, oh, red and black maybe? That would be an awesome choice. There's so many colors to choose from, like beautiful colors. Could do like silver and gold. That would be cool too. All right, we just have one more tile to go. And then we're pretty much finished. This was a long one, but a lot of it was repetitive. So, all right, swapping out for the violet one last time. And while I'm doing this, I'm thinking of what colors I want to use for the second one, because I don't want to use the same colors. I want to be able to mix and match my tiles, and I want to be able to tell that they're different, but yet the same, if that makes sense. And I can't decide if I'm going to use green or not. All right, I think that about does it. It's all colored in. And I like how it has the rays coming out, but the focus is actually on the center with all of our different shaped fragments within our mosaic, our reticula, and we learned all of these. We have 16 different tangles in there. A lot of them were new to me, most of them were, and maybe to you too. Um, I think we're about done. You can go back in like the next day or so and add a little more color. Like I feel like this is a little lighter, so I could go back in and go in darker on that one. I can also go back in and do some extra shading if some of it came off during our coloring, which is possible because I had my hand on there and some of the shading could have rubbed off. So you can always go back in and add more graphite. I am going to take this red micron, it's just one last little thing, and I am going to add the red to these little hearts. You could do that with colored pencil as well, but I feel it's just going to be brighter with the micron. All right, we have that filled in like that. So basically this one has primary colors. We've got the red and the yellow and the blue in there. And of course, we want to go in and add our initials somewhere. So you can pick a spot. I was trying to think like where I would like to add it. And I think I'm going to put it in one of these parts of the Dragonair, like that. And I'm only going to do that on one tile of the whole mosaic, as long as I've got it in there. All right, let me know what you think. So I've got a little pop of color, but I didn't really do much to the original mosaic other than add some auras, um, ink in some areas, and add a border and another aura. So that's it. Let me know which border you chose because I'm really curious. And let me know what colors if you actually decided to add color. I will be back probably next weekend for the second mosaic, which will be very similar. There might be some changes, but it's going to be very similar um, to this one so that we can swap out some of the tiles and create a whole different look. All right. This has been fun. This is a long one. So thank you for seeing the whole thing through with me. And I will see you next time. All right. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you soon. And remember, I love you guys. Bye.